Money, your future, your move. Mate ke maranga wakarongo mai ki tō tātou reo irirangi o Whanganui Awa FM. Iwa te kaumātoru tārima ki taumaru nui, iwa te kaumata e ki rua peu. Ko ta i rau te iarere ki konei ki Whanganui, ko te reo papa o tēnei o te otaka parakui i e kia nei, e oho, me rongo. 7 minutes past 8 on your Monday morning, the 3rd of August 2026. You know what time it is, e te wano. It is Money Mondays with Uncle Rich. Morena, Uncle, how are ya?
Morena, Bob. Really good, thank you. Yep.
Final episode.
Wow, went fast, eh?
Went fast. It was a blast, absolutely. You know, time goes by when you're having fun. E mihi nui ana kia tātou. Maybe a season 2. This could be season 1. Here we are no. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I put that in there. I was like, just for now, eh? Let's see how this lands, and let's, we'll have a think about that. And
we have a paku wakata, and we're heading into Money Month anyway, you know, and it's another take on getting your emergency savings right too. So we've got a whole month of series of kōrero, of different pockets of kōrero that we'll have throughout the month. But we're here, Uncle. Final episode. Welcome back, i te wānau. Koutou e are mai nā o koutou taringa, no runga mai te reo irirangi. And for those of you who are tuning in on the live stream via the Facebook, a massive morena kia tātou katoa. Final episode. 8 weeks of talking all things money, Uncle. And really just building a safe space for our wānau to have kōrero and to, you know, think about their future. Start at week 1, you know, hey, we're putting a stake in the ground, then we're getting into our bucket system savings, which I think is a saving grace. Like, if you haven't got that part, that second part there right,
well, it's the kaupapa too for Money Month
exactly.
As well as emergency.
So just before we get into the whole kōrero, Uncle, let's take a minute to reflect around this whole kaupapa and what has it been like for you? What has it meant to you?
Yeah, it's been really cool just to have those side kōrero, you know, netball on the weekend, you know, wherever you are and that, and you get a bit of, you know, Money Monday with Uncle Rich, you get a bit of stick like it, but that's cool because at least someone's listening, firstly. Hopefully they take something out of it.
Tika.
It was really funny because the Doma just goes to me, who are you? He's like, man, I thought I knew you. I didn't know that side, you know, like, because we don't talk like that, you know, when we get together. That's not what our chats are about. So it was really cool to have that chat, and he's just like, bro, that's awesome. He goes, I don't always get to listen, but I go and listen. You know, and that's the key of why we recorded it and why we have it. Like I said last time, it's something to always go back to and reflect. And I always say, you know, you always get a chance to start a game, so don't think you're there, you know, or not there, or you've missed out, or you're too late. And just go back, have a watch. Oh yeah, sharp. That's what that was about. So that's the whole. That's what's been making me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely, Uncle. And I think it's the and conversations that we get to have with our wānau, with our friends. And like I said earlier, one of the bros hit me up at netball on the weekend and said, "Hey, loving the Money Mondays." You know, I had the opportunity to call one of his providers when we said that was the action of the week. Call your providers. He's since he's had that conversation, he's been able to make some savings. And that's money back into his pūkoro for his wānau, and they've got a big wānau, so massive shout out going out to our mahi whale and te manihira there, their wānau. Thank you for tuning in. And this resource, this rauemi, this taonga is going to be here forever. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Ware Kōrero as well. It's going to belong to all of us, you know. All this kōrero is going to be here for a very long time. So, e mihi ana ki te rāhuatanga. Before we get into the kōrero, Uncle, we just got to do a little plug here. We have a giveaway today. For our final episode, we thought we'll come back. Our first one, we gave a book away. Massive shout out to Tahi Manawapunga, who was the winner of the Barefoot Investors. Now we've got a massive giveaway. One is the He Aroha Te Aroha gift box. If we can get a zoom in over there on the tonga there. Brought to us by Julie Hedawini and her wānau. That gift box is up for grabs alongside a $150 voucher to Pak'nSave. Then we've got the Māori Millionaire puka puka, and then a noho tahi, or an opportunity, which is probably my favourite, a noho tahi, an opportunity to sit down with Uncle Richard and to have a kōrero e te wano. This is a planned session. You will have the opportunity to ask any pātai that you want to, and like we've been trying to organise is we're going to run a collective wānau one with Uncle, hopefully, and get all our wānau thinking about their KiwiSaver, and actively thinking about it is probably the better thing. So how might you win this taonga? All you need to do, those people who are tuned in on our live stream, you need to be just interacting, leaving a comment leaving a kōrero. What episode did you like the most? What have you done? What action have you done or completed? And for those of our whānau who are tuned in on air, there will be an opportunity to call through. The number is 0800 292 100. So keep that in your saved contacts, because there will be an opportunity to call us throughout this episode. Awesome. Now, Uncle, let's get straight into it. Yeah. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so, we've covered a lot, so that's where we've done the mindset stuff, we've done the strategy around the buckets, that sort of budgeting side, dealing with debt, our KiwiSaver, our vesting, first home. There's a ton in there. But sadly, these couple of topics are the ones people put off. And I know we don't want to talk about our mortality on Monday morning, just after a great morning of silver ferns, might I add. No. But this is the real important step for us, and I'm talking about wills. Yeah. I'm talking about enduring power of attorneys. These are some big kaupapa, but really, really important documents. And the beauty is that I wanted to talk about these, and then Jules has already made us a resource to help us.
Kia ora.
So, it tied in nicely, and I was just like, man, that puka puka is such a gold resource, because it takes away a lot of the stigma or the questioning side, and it just lays things out nicely. But yeah, anyway, what is a will? Who needs a will? Well, it is basically, simply a document for when you pass, of who's in charge of sorting everything out and how you want that to play out, okay? That person is called an executor, so you set someone in there to do that for you. So I think the massive thing here is a lot of people, full stop, don't have a will, okay? So you're literally leaving it up to the government to make a decision on what happens to your estate. Now, people go, but sometimes, there's not a lot to worry about, or not a lot to give, but this is about making sure your wishes are looked after, looked after that, and it'll really surprise some people how it works. And there's an official, the Administration Act 1969 that actually has a process for this, and people just think, it goes to your partner, it goes to your kids, and that's right, some does, but if there's a bit in the estate, it's not always that straightforward. And the last thing you want to be doing is having to go to the, to lawyers or to the court to get that sort of stuff set up. So I think there's a really cool portion in the puka puka again, he aroha te aroha, that gives you these questions, gives you this process to work through, it can get into all the stuff of how you want your tangi to run. Yeah. People think it's, where do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? Some of these are really, really tough questions and hard things to do. So if you start with that, or start working through the book, it can make it a lot easier. I heard a story from Jules, and it's it's good that they got a result in them, but it was like, it's been 2012, they had their kids, got their house, couldn't decide on someone to look after the kids, so did nothing, because it was that hard to decide who to look after, who to be the executor, or who to look after the kids in those situations. And those are the real stories. This is what happens. We get to a point, we should have that, and we're like, that's a bit hard, next, and we move on, instead of going, hey, let's get something set up and put it in. And don't think it's massive money. There's all sorts you can keep them really simple, but definitely go get a lawyer. There's online kits and all that sort of stuff that people are trying to make it easy, but I had a quick look. You should be able to do something with a lawyer. It should be a couple of hours. I'll be guessing around, 500, if you know what you're putting in there, if there's not too much in there. But I think it's just a real important thing to remember. And for those of us that do have wills, it's checking them. Yeah. Are they fit for life now? Have we changed? Have we got more kids, or we got, whatever, to then make sure everything is accounted for and those sort of things. So, yeah.
I reckon that's a great place to start, Uncle. We're talking about the beginnings, why you need a will, because before we talk legacy, we talk about the basics. For our whānau listening, just give us one line, who might not have a will yet. What's the real risk of leaving it too late?
The risk of leaving it too late is that your pūtea goes to the state, it goes to that, it doesn't get allocated. Well, no, this is the best way to put it. It doesn't go where you want it to be. That's as simple as it is. It doesn't go where you want it to be. Your wishes, we're guessing, remember? We don't know. Well, you're gone. You haven't written it down what you want done. So if you don't tell us, now we're guessing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then raru happens, right? You know,
exactly that, Uncle. And it takes me back to our previous kōrero and our previous actions and tips is about automating our stuff. Will automates.
Yeah.
It automates it to someone that it needs to go to. So it's real simple. We're keeping it here. And it's similar. It goes along, it just really ties in the kōrero that we've had previously.
Yeah.
Now, I think the biggest piece, when people don't understand the jargon necessarily, is really around the executor piece.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Now, I've been so called, and I've been called to be an executor on one of our auntie's wills, because it's not just a name on a form, right?
No.
It's a real responsibility. So if we handle things after we've gone, what do we need in place while we're still here but can't speak for ourselves?
Yeah, and good point about the executor. Really important role. Got to be a key person that can handle that kōrero, and can handle that, to have those conversations with the whānau, with the wider whānau when that happens, be strong enough to own that, and just, someone good under pressure, comfortable with dealing with the whānau, all those sort of things. Even someone, that the whānau would listen to is always a good start. And again, there's a checklist in the puka. Jules has thought about this because these are the big questions that stalled her for a bit,
Yeah.
And the key bit is to tell the executor.
The executor. Yeah.
And then tell them where the will is. These sound really simple and really but these are the key steps.
Yeah. No, actually, Uncle, that triggered a memory of mine. Auntie Nance went on her harare.
Yep.
Her massive one over to Europe, and her message to us was, be safe, love yous, my will is da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do we need to know that?
No.
It's just in case, right?
Yeah.
Insurance, safety, and so that we know where it is, just in case of an emergency.
Yep.
So, no. I like that, Uncle.
Yeah. So
right.
that's the first grunty one.
I
know, bit heavy team for this day, but let's
we're going in.
Keep working with us. This one gets even a bit more. No. Enduring power of attorney.
Yeah.
So sadly, this one only this one doesn't kick in when you pass, like the will. This one is when you're alive, and this, I think, is the bit that people miss. And there's a really key point in this one that you need to do it while you're still able, like physically, mentally, before you're required to, for someone to do this. Really similar to, in terms of you need a person that's going to do this for you and be that person. But there's two types of EPAs. So, enduring power of attorney, EPA. So there's property. And this sounds funny because property, and you think of just wari, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's your money. It's your paying your bills. It's dealing with the banks. It's shutting down stuff, like that you don't need anymore. If you don't have that in front, it's called property. The other one's personal, and so that makes sense around your health and those sort of things. But I think the key step and the key one here is get both.
Yeah.
It's a real important part. This is one that I don't have.
Yeah.
So this was great for me too, because when I'm going through this, I haven't got it all sorted. Like I think I do, and then I got to this and I went, far out, I still think I'm too young.
Yeah.
Whereas they're saying anyone over 18. That's the messaging, because you think of the scenarios, a terrible scenario because it hits quite home, but a lot of our people play rugby, they get injured. What happens if they're, in hospital for a couple of weeks and can't do anything?
Tika.
Who's paying the bills or, doing anything for them in their life? If you don't have enduring power of attorney, you then got to go to the courts and you got to get this stuff and you got to do all these things to do subtle stuff, to do simple things. So, it's a real example because of our people are out there doing stuff normally. So just be aware that, it's a real important step. And then, like I said about making sure it's done before you get to the point where you need it is the real key step as well.
Yeah, and that's a big shift, eh? That's a huge shift, because this isn't just, te mutunga o tō oranga. It's not end of life stuff. It's life stuff.
Yeah.
So once this will and EPA are covered, where do trust fit in, Uncle? And how do we start thinking bigger than just legal documents, and we're thinking about leaving a legacy?
Kapai, nice. So once all this is done, trust, I get a lot of questions about trusts, and they do have different purposes, and it's changed a bit. Again, get some proper legal advice to make sure this is right. But for how I look at them, it was about protecting the property that we were in at the time. We owned a quad bike business, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on with that. Our legal team, our lawyer, accountant said, get a trust so it puts away your family property in there, so that if something does happen or anything that goes with the business fail, whatever the example is, they can't go after that wari because that's in the trust. So it's not for everyone. But it does have their place. And the one that's getting a bit more, bit more thing now is because they're trying to look after the kids.
Yeah.
And then blended families, in-laws, these sort of things. And it's like, if you've built this big nest egg with relationship property and all that other stuff, if it's not in a trust, it's not looked after. So, or it can be spread out because of the way it is. So just be aware the trust looks after, the trustees look after to the beneficiaries, and the beneficiaries are the ones that you nominate, right? So you can make whoever you want to be the beneficiaries of your trust. And then as I was getting to, be aware they can be complex. And they cost money to run. You need to do a return every year. So sometimes it's not for everyone to have one. Sometimes they don't need one. So the big key point there is discuss that with your lawyer and your legal team around a trust. Yeah.
Now we're getting some massive interaction and some massive comments from our whānau who are joined in via the live stream. Now this is an opportunity for whānau to call in.
Yeah.
Our number is 0800 292 100, and all you need to do is simply just, if you have a pātai for Uncle, particularly around this kaupapa or any other segment that we've had, please give us a call. The number is 0800 292 100. And what I have done and what I haven't done is I haven't set you up with some headphones, Uncle, so you won't be able to answer the caller, but I will, and then I'll be able to hear their pātai. So e te wānau, for those of you who want an opportunity to get in and win the prize draw, give us a call now, 0800 292 100. We'll carry on the kōrero at the moment and wait for our green little lights and orange lights to flicker off for us. But a massive shout out going out to our whānau who are joining in. Want to highlight this particular comment, who has been an avid listener, Cousin Robin Potini. I enjoyed insurance, and the kōrero around that. Something I'm considering is moving to high excess, low premiums, as Uncle Rich said, and I feel like I'm paying and not actually using it. That was a good conversation too, because that reminded me of Mum's kōrero last night. Is she's paid enough on her insurance that she could have a wari by now. And I said, that's the point of why we need to meet with Uncle Mum, okay? Now our light is going, e te wānau. I'm going to pick up this caller. Tēnā koe, hold the line, e te wānau, so I can get you on. There we go, answer that there. Morena.
Morena, tēnā tātou.
Morena, Auntie Kiritahi, how are you?
Tēnā koe.
Oh, kei te ora. You know why? Because I'm listening to this program and I'm being so inspired by such amazing financial kōrero. Tēnā koe, cousin. Tēnā koe, rongo.
Now, probably for our live stream, it probably doesn't work that well because we can't actually hear. So, Auntie Kiritahi's on the line. Kiritahi Furman. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, your pātai for Uncle, please, if you have one.
Cousin, when we think about charities, for our whānau, for example, on our marae, and how we can set up a charity, but also ensure that our rangatahi are coming alongside our trustees to learn about what a charitable organisation is. What do you think is the best way to encourage them to come?
Okay. Ka pai, Auntie. Thank you very much for that pātai. Uncle, the pātai is around trust and charities on our marae and encouraging rangatahi participation. How might we do that? How might we get them involved? What are some tips or tricks to get them really involved in the kōrero?
Yeah, I think we need to show them the why.
Yeah.
You know, like that's because I think we get caught up in the sort of the doing and the, you know, oh no, I need to go to this hui, and it feels real formal and really constrained and potentially a really, just an environment they're not really keen to go sit in a room for hours and, so it's sort of more like, hey, do have a think about this. This is why we done this. We talked about it. We showed them the outcome and then we go that way. Like, marae, Solar's a massive one at the moment. Have a think about that. Marae, well, those decisions have been made in these realms, right? Yeah. There's massive stuff happening on every marae up the river, on every trust and so forth. So, and I just think it's a really cool thing to get involved with. I think of that scale in the solar, then I come back to my own at Rakato and getting in there, and it's just as simple as having a wano day. Yeah. Getting involved and driving that. The start can be just getting in and helping. Yeah. I think for our youth, we've just got to make it about them, so they know, know that okay. But where it came from was over here. Yeah. There's a decision that was made to do X that impacts you, and then this is what happens, and this is the flow, and this is how you can be involved.
That's it.
Yeah.
Rawe. E mihi nui ana ki a koe, Auntie. Thank you very much for calling in. Ka nui te aroha, and have a fabulous day.
A koe te uki. Tēnā tātou. Kia ora.
Now, we're getting back into it, Te Wano. Any last little kōrero on legacy in our last part?
Yeah. The legacy part for me, it's just not always about putia. Please don't take that away from me, that Uncle Rich is all about that. There is much bigger story behind us, and it comes down to this legacy. It's what do you want to be remembered for? It's a bit deep, but what do you want people to say at your tangi? These are how do you want to be remembered? And there's a beautiful part in the puka puka again that lets you have that te haumaringi. That's te haumaringi is the thing. It's like the hidden kōrero. Yeah. So there's a place to write some important stuff if you're not able to talk about it. Yeah. But from a financial side, I think there's a part of me that, did what I set out to do was start immediate. Yeah. Start with your wānau and then build out from there. Teaching my kids and anyone else that'll listen, and just how to be good with money. It's not, it's not always about the money. It's what it does. And it's just a tool, as we've discussed again. And, what is it you want to leave? The house for the kids and investment fund, whatever. And the final one on the legacy part is don't think it's all on you. Yeah. It's a team effort, and your partner is, really important, and making sure you have them on board with you to build that. And if it's not your partner, it's your wānau, because that's it. And then you actually even go a step wider, and it becomes your team around you too. Yeah. Don't think you have to know everything, and it's not all laying on you. That's why we have lawyers, accountants. This is why we have this stuff. This is why we have advisors. You don't need to know this. Yeah. You just need to want to do it. Yeah. And then you can. So that's the part I'd think about there.
Yeah, absolutely, Uncle. And I love that, because so much of this is about taking the guesswork out of it, out for our wānau. So before we wrap, what are the common traps people fall into, Uncle? The things we should all be checking straight away. What are the common mistakes? Let's put fire them.
I put these down to these two, and the basic one, and everyone should see this, is not having a will. Just simple. Straight away. So that's the most common. Then it's being outdated. So it's not fit for purpose for these days. More kids, changing life circumstances, all that sort of stuff. No EPA, simple one again, but this is the real reality of it. And then the other one is what I mentioned earlier, is no one knows where the documents are.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been so safe that they go in there and your lawyer has it. Well, who's your lawyer? Yeah. All these things, you don't know this, and then, to keep a copy at home. And that's what I was. Yeah. Those are my main ones.
Now, Wano, we've heard all the mistakes, all the mistakes that we can talk about, and it's all about leaving a legacy, and that's probably the main wakano that I really want to drive for us, is that this is just as important as getting your ducks in a row and making sure that you have the bucket system. Yeah. We're talking about, this is the next step. And for those of our wano who are not there just yet, kei te pai tēnā. We're going back to episode 1, finding our goal, putting our stake in the ground. And for those of us who are still tuned in on air and online, comment now, what has your favourite episode been of Money Mondays particularly, please? Let us know, because like we said, This is season 1. This is season 1, and there really could be a season 2. But kei au koutou te tikanga. Let us know what you want to hear. What episode that you've really enjoyed. We're going to take a quick break just to regather ourselves. We've got Wakamihira by Whaepania Papa coming up next on the airwaves. And then we will be back with our tip of the day and our action of the week. Ka pai. So what we've also enjoyed is that Uncle provides a tip of the week, which is something for us to get in our brains, think about, and then there's an action to it.
Yeah.
An action, something for us to practically do. He wai anō, mai tonu mai, e haere tonu ana ngā waiata, we got Wakamihira Pānia Papa. No, mai hoki mai e te wānau, we are back, and we're heading into our last part of our kōrero this morning. And massive kōrero, we're talking about wills, power of attorneys, we've also been talking about leaving a legacy, and some common mistakes and what we shouldn't be doing. Yeah. But like I said earlier, is a lot of our tips and actions have been automating our pūtea. And like I said to Uncle earlier, this just reminds me of automating our lives, like our taonga and where they go to. It's automating it to the people that we need it to go to. Now we're going to take another caller e te iwi. If you are tuning in right now, our number is 0800 292 100. Give us a call now, and we'll have a bit of another opportunity to ask Uncle a pātai, whatever you want it to be. Otherwise, it could be around an episode, and then your name will go into the draw to win e te wānau. Now, Uncle, tip of the day. What is our tip?
The tip of the day is get yourself a fireproof box to put all your important documents in. You know, like we have one of these that we have, and we've had it for years, and it literally is awesome. So Russ needed his passport just on the weekend, or Friday, and I was like, you know where it is? It's in the box with the important docs, so that in itself, and that's where we keep all of those documents, and they're just at your, Mitre 10 or something, go online and find one big enough to fit documents in. Fireproof box though, so then it's safe.
How many of us actually know where our passport is, e te wānau? That's probably another question, and one more so for me. We're leaving in -2 weeks, and we need to find that passport, e te iwi, otherwise we're using pūtea that we don't necessarily need to get an emergency one. So, who of us know where our passport is at the moment, e te iwi? Big pātai. Now, Uncle, what is our action for the week?
And I think you fellas will get this one. It's if you don't have a will, book a time with your lawyer to go and get a will. But there's a step before that too, and you need to have a think about what you want in that will. And again, our beautiful Puka Puka here has a really good section in there around that and some of the questions that will be asked and answered. So I think the first step is you just have a look online. And then go to your lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, look up a lawyer that specialises in that and does wills, most will, and just work through those processes of what you need to have in place. Rangs, I seen your question in there around that. It will be go to your lawyer. That is the first step in those instances in terms of getting it done. But you need to decide what you would like in that, obviously. So
absolutely. Now, Mark Hales, you left it in a safe place near. It's in a safe place. E muna ana, e huna ana from me, because it doesn't want me to be great and have a holiday. He oi anō. Said with love, Auntie Afi to me. Let Richard talk more. Absolutely. Talk some more.
Said with love.
Thank you,
Kia ora.
Absolutely. We love that. Now, what has been the highlight? Give us your top 2 episodes that our whānau should watch.
Go back to the start. I think it's about the mindset and doing those things to set you up so that when it gets a little bit trickier down the line, you're like, yep, this is why I'm doing it. I think that's a real key point around this, and because once you do get your mindset and then you get your buckets right in terms of how your money flows, that is a really key point because of all the stuff, even what you've mentioned this morning, the flow in terms of automation. So that's where it is, but you've got to have the meaning, you've got to have the reason, otherwise it's just whatever's strongest, like have a look at your bank statements, see what you spend your money on, and you'll just be like, what is this? Like, what I got Kai at home, what have I, like, it's the weekend, let's do this, like, so just have a think about that, what's important right now. I'm not saying don't go out, don't enjoy yourself, never, but there's a putia for that. And then so that would be my ones going back, because if we get the fundamentals right, and I take this across everything, sport, everything, money, we get our fundamentals right, we get our basics right, then we can launch off that. If we don't have that right, we'll always be playing catch up when you get to the big stuff, buying houses, doing investments. If that's not ready, you don't actually know what your number is to put up the top. So that would be my big one.
Absolutely, there you have it, Te Wano. Going back to the fundamentals, we've got episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 available, and this one will be available on Spotify, YouTube, and Ware Kōrero for you to go back and listen to, because it is going to be Aroha me and a resource for us, and we'll continue to use it. So this is potentially, it will be Season 1 of many seasons to come. We're calling it now. We're putting it out there to the motu, to the iwi. There we have it. Any last kupu before we go on? A little bit of a wakata, Uncle, before we come back for our wānau.
Yeah, I think there's there's also a lesson in here around this. This is not a get rich quick scheme. We got to work at this. This doesn't just happen overnight. You're looking for a quick win and all that. This is around consistency. This is just about consistency, long term. Like I said, we started 20 years ago. Investing in property. Working in Wellington, making those things. Doing that stuff 20 years ago. For us to be in a position that we are today. So. It does happen, but it takes time and commitment. So, and just my other thing that I wanted was just to normalise the conversation, right? We say that because it's happening. We have that chat. Someone talk to me about my KiwiSaver. I'm like, mate, just book a meeting. I can literally have a look at that for you in minutes, and then it's up to you. I give you some info. I could run some reports if you want that. Whatever you want it to see and how it to look. So, normalise that. And just remember, this is personal. So what we're talking about here is generic, wide, this is not personal financial advice for you. You need to come and see me or see someone to get that, because all of our situations are different. And so, but that's the beauty of it. It's all different.
And there we have it, Te Wano. That's a wrap on 8 weeks of Money Mondays with Uncle Rich. And me nui ana kia Jamie Lee, who has shared, I have really enjoyed season 1. It has cemented what research I have done myself and taught me more on top of that. Ngā mihi kōrua. E mihi ana kia koe Jamie Lee. Hope you're having a massive day. O tino koutou te wānau e mātakitaki mai ana e tukuna mai o koutou kōrero. Love to hear it and love to see it. Like we said, and we're putting it out there already, season 1 of many seasons to come, me te wānau. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to mention as well, 4 weeks ago, I tasked myself and challenged myself, and I know Uncle's going to remind me. I challenged myself that, one of my debts was to pay down a credit card that I've had since 2000, and probably, we'll go 2014, 19, university. They said, we've got some money for you. Hey, here's a credit card. Absolutely. And I was to pay down that credit card and have it all finished off. Now, I tell you, we were being honest, open here, and like I said, sharing my own journey. We didn't reach that mark. I am about $150 short. And it's because other things have taken priorities and I've put them in my buckets. And I don't want to take it out of my emergency savings just to put it in here, just to finish it off. I think, no. So, didn't quite meet the task, but we're getting there. It's in motion, and we'll have that wrapped up. So mihi ana kia tātou. Thank you very much, Uncle, for coming in. It's always been a pleasure to have you on a Money Monday and sometimes on a Tuesday for our wānau out there. But have a great day, te wānau, and stay tuned for many kōrero to come. Ngā mihi. We've got Waima Girl, Shane Walker on Ways.
Mōrena i te wānau. You are tuned into E Oho Me Rongo, Awa FM.